In NPR News.
This is Ira Glass. In Lily's family, there's a story everybody knows by heart. If this story had never happened,
all of us wouldn't be here right now.
Sammy wouldn't be here.
Nana wouldn't be here. Wally wouldn't be here. Anyone that we know wouldn't be here.
So what happens when Lily's mom tells her the story's not true? This American Life, surprising stories every week.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. Ahead of Pope Francis's funeral, President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky met for a discussion the White House says was very productive. NPR's Joanna Kakissis has more.
Writing on social media, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said this meeting could turn out to be historic. Trump wrote his own post criticizing Russian President Vladimir Putin for attacking Ukrainian civilians. It makes me think he doesn't want to stop the war, Trump wrote on Truth Social, his social media network. He's just tapping me along. The meeting comes after a week of U.S. pressure on Zelensky to concede territory. Zelensky says he will never recognize Russian-occupied Ukrainian land as part of Russia. Trump told Time magazine that Russia can keep the southern Ukrainian peninsula of Crimea, which it illegally annexed in 2014. Joanna Kakissis, NPR News, Kyiv.
And now that Francis has been laid to rest, a period of mourning begins, followed by a much-anticipated conclave to select the new pope. And here, Sarah Ventry has more from Rome.
Pope Francis's funeral mass marked the beginning of an ancient tradition called the Novem Diales, 9 consecutive days of mourning. They'll include daily masses presided by cardinals. Following this will be the papal conclave, during which time 135 cardinal electors will be sequestered as they choose the next pope. Although there are 252 cardinals in total, only those under the age of 80 qualify to be electors. The rest can serve in an advisory capacity but may not vote. And those who are considered likely candidates are called papabili, an Italian term meaning popable. Sarah Ventry, NPR News, Rome.
The National Science Foundation, the government agency that's a major funder of research in science, math, and engineering, has canceled more than 700 of its grants. NPR's Nell Greenfield-Boyce reports the move comes after the NSF director abruptly announced his departure on Thursday.
The NSF funds a lot of the research, education, and infrastructure for the science that goes on around the nation, especially at colleges and universities. But it's now stopping funding for a lot of work. The first wave of cancellations about a week ago targeted research on misinformation and efforts to increase diversity in science, math, and engineering. Then, amid reports that the agency's budget and staff might possibly be cut in half, the NSF director resigned. And now there's been another wave of cancellations, more than 700 projects this time. An NSF spokesperson says the canceled work was, quote, not aligned with agency priorities. Nell Greenfield-Boyce, NPR News.
And you're listening to NPR News from Washington. $2.2 million might seem like a hefty asking price for 2 apartments on just over 9 acres of land in Tennessee. But what if that included a 3-mile cave system? Chad Barrett with member station WETS has more on a unique Appalachian attraction that's now up for sale.
Appalachian Caverns in Blountville, Tennessee opened to the public in 1991 and has been a popular attraction in the region ever since. Here's Roger Hartley, the owner since 2004, on why he's decided to sell.
I'm 3.5 years away from retirement. Got time to sell, and if it doesn't sell right now, I'm still okay.
A little over 10,000 people visit the Appalachian Caverns per year, but a couple endangered species also call the caverns home.
So you do have the endangered gray bat, the most populous bat we have here. We have about 15,000 grays, and then we have the endangered Indiana bat.
Hartley hopes that whoever buys the property shares his passion for preservation of the caverns. For NPR News, I'm Chad Barrett in Johnson City.
President Trump's attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion took center stage in Boston today as the city remembers the 1965 Freedom Rally, 60 years after the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. led a rally protesting housing discrimination and segregation in schools in Boston. Hundreds of people gathered today at the same site to honor and reflect on the historic event. The rally at the Boston Common, near the site of a 20-foot-high memorial to racial equity, shows King embracing his wife, Coretta Scott King. His eldest son, Martin Luther King III, says more work is needed to ensure everyone has access to quality health care. This is NPR News.
Listen to this podcast sponsor-free on Amazon Music with a Prime membership or any podcast app by subscribing to NPR News Now Plus at plus.npr.org. That's plus.npr.org.